You're listening to Stokvel Voice Podcast.
Hello there. Welcome to the Stokvel Voice. It is the big deal. You are listening to Ubusis Kenjana. Today we are talking about this thing called savings and investments in stokvels. We know that stokvels are about savings, but I'm not sure whether this savings is well understood, whether it is practiced the way it should be practiced. Today our guest is Kagiso and Ayanda. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can you please just briefly introduce yourselves? I know you are from SV Capital.
Yes.
What is that?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm Ayanda Masugu, co-founder and director at SV Capital. So SV Capital is pretty much an investment solution, and we're targeting the normal man on the street, man and woman on the street. And we sort of provide alternative investments, looking at actual physical asset investments. But to give a brief intro about myself, studied at UJ, got my CA there, and a qualified chartered accountant. The company has been in operation for about a year, and we've sort of like built an investment solution that we hope sort of will change the way people see and think about investments.
Thank you. Kagiso?
Thank you very much, Mambusi. As you mentioned, my name is Kagiso Tlugbatla. Also co-founder and director of SV Capital. Also studied at UJ, actually. Studied BCom Finance. Worked in corporate for 6 years, worked for a very big investment bank. And as Ayanda said, we started this company really to address challenges that the average person on the street is having regarding savings. We want to make it simple, we want to make it easy, and we want to make it fun.
You know, I like it. When you say you want to make it simple, you want to make it fun. You know, I find you chartered accountants can really complicate our lives when it comes to the savings and investment language. You studied, you understand. And a lot of people out there, especially young people, I think they're beginning to realize now that they need to take investment seriously.
Yes.
But it's so complex.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, it's complex. The more you try to read, you just baffled about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about the complexity or the simplicity of investment, you know?
Yeah, I think from a professional perspective, I think things have been overcomplicated. Both KJ and I do have the sort of work experience, and we've had investment banking experience. So the terms are thrown around. So your derivatives, options, and all of that. But if you actually look at the core of investing, it's pretty much putting money away to create more money.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think a lot of terms have been used in investments to really confuse people. I mean, think of it as medical terms. You know, doctors will describe a headache as something as we know as a headache as something completely different, instead of saying, well, the problem is you have a headache.
It's migraine, it's whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you say migraine to someone on the street, they're like, what are you talking about? But it's really just an intense headache.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really the investment world has decided to do. They've gone and used this jargon to really exclude, to say, majority of our population. And it shouldn't be like that. And we're really looking to make that, we're looking to be the difference, make it very simple and easy for everyone to understand and use everyday language about investments.
Mm-hmm. And you touched on, the savings. I think we read a lot about savings, we watch TV and all that stuff. Yeah. But our behavior, is it an impediment to proper saving? Or it's just that we don't have enough money to save?
Well, I don't think it's about not having enough money. It's more the behavior behind it, right? And I think it's the smaller things you do with your money. You know, there's a lot of rules out there. You can watch a lot of podcasts that tell you the correct saving method, but I think it's more of a change in mentality. Something as simple as when walking into a store and you want to make a purchase and you know it's not part of the budget, you didn't plan for it in the month, you need to stop and ask yourself, do you really need it? or something as having budgets in place and spending within what you've arranged for that specific spending, instead of just splurging and not really having a plan with your money, I guess, for the month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me, there's two ways to make money. Okay. One is you work harder and you get paid more. Two is you spend less. And those are the only two ways in the world to make money. Only two ways. And by spending less is obviously easier for people because they don't have to work that hard, or they don't have to pick up another job, or they don't have to do something else to earn an extra income. So I think your spending habits need to really change if you want to start making money. You know, you can't invest or you can't save something you don't have. You know, you need to look at cutting back your expenses. And I'm not saying, you know, stop eating out. All I'm saying is, instead of eating out 4 times, maybe eat out twice. And the other 2 times, have a home cooked meal, you know, have a fun pizza night instead of actually buying pizza. So something really minor changes when it comes to savings behavior could really go a long way, because if you look at it, you know, if you're saving about 15 Rand a week, and there's 52 weeks in the year, you multiply that by 52, that the amount becomes significant.
Wow, I love that. That's my favorite mathematics, because I'm not a mathematician. You simply multiply by 12 and then you've got the figure, and that's it.
Yes.
It's simple.
It's simple.
And I think historically, like, people always associate saving with such big amounts. So for you to save, you need to put away a massive amount. But it's not really that. It's something as simple as, like KG just said, putting away 10 Rand a month, and you multiply it by 12, that's a start to something, you know? And it's a continuous behavior. People have the misconception that you save and then spend at the end of the year and you stop. No, it's continuously building on it. So it's not just 12. The next year you replicate it and you continue building on the foundation you've already started.
It's ongoing.
Yes.
Now, coming back to Stokvels, because Stokvels are known for saving. And I'm told there's about 45 to 50 billion that circulates within Stokvels.
Yes.
They are saving.
Yes.
But we hear about that figure. Where is that money? What impact is it making in the lives of an ordinary Stokvel member, or someone out there, a youngster who wants to join a Stokvel, who wants to start a Stokvel? You know, what's this saving thing? You know, how tangible is it? You know, is it there, or it's just an illusion?
Yeah, I think the words, I mean, we'll use the words interchangeably a lot. So saving and investing will be used interchangeably. But it's very important to maybe differentiate between the two. When it comes to saving, saving, what you would normally do is you would save to buy a car, or you would save for a deposit for a house. You would save for a specific event. When it comes to investing, the difference is you investing for the future. So that's when you start building a legacy for yourself. You start actually building wealth. And it's important to differentiate the two, because then you treat them differently. Now, when you're saving, it's for a specific event, which is where a lot of Stokvels are playing in. A lot of Stokvels are saving for specific events. So they might be saving money in order for them to buy groceries at the end of the year. So those types of Stokvels, or those types of people, are more consumer driven, because they're saving for a specific event.
So it means this 45 billion, it just circulates. It's there, we save it, and then it goes to an event, and then it's gone.
Yes.
And then we start again.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that's where the issue is, where we need to actually start thinking about it slightly differently, to say, look, we obviously do need to consume, we do need to spend, but instead of consuming 100 Rand, instead of spending 100 Rand on something, how about we maybe spend 60 and then invest 40? Because what happens is that 40 in 5 years' time now starts paying you a passive income.
What is passive income?
So what it is you basically start earning money off doing off your investment 5 years ago. It just starts paying you money, because it's obviously been invested in the right things that make money for you, that generate an income for you. So you don't have to work harder for it. It's you've just put it in the right place. You've invested it in the right types of investments, and it starts earning money for you.
Okay.
So it's pretty much your 100 rand starting to make sort of additional 50 rands per month for you, to simplify it. So passive income is very important, and I think as a collective, we've never had the ability to sort of start thinking of investing and saving as more of a let's start creating wealth and generating income for us in the future. Because everyone's stuck on this. In order for you to make money, you need to continuously work. But we need to start having a culture of having your money work for you instead of you having to work for your money.
Yeah.
I love that. Just to come in, our motto actually here, the Stokvel Voice podcast, we say Stokvel is about wealth and wisdom.
Exactly.
Yes.
So creating wealth, and it looks like a lot of people, be it in an individual capacity or in a Stokvel, they are stuck in their savings to buy things.
Yes.
And this investment, the wealth creation, it's fantasy.
Yes. Yes, I think I just want to go back to also just breaking down passive income and making it really simple to understand for anyone. Passive income is a concept that's been in existence for many generations. Our forefathers understood it very, very well. Our forefathers knew if they got a cow and a bull, they would get essentially more livestock out of that. That's exactly what passive income is. Passive income is your cow gives birth to a calf. And that's how you need to think about it. The cow is the money that you've invested. The calf is the byproduct of the money you've invested. It's that return. You didn't have to go buy another calf. The calf comes from the cow. That's how your investment's growing. That's how you need to think about it. You need to think about it in that way. Our forefathers understood that very well from a very early stage, and for some odd reason we lost that as time went on. And
we eat the cow. We've got it.
Exactly.
We slaughter it.
Exactly.
And that's it. And no calf comes out of the cow.
That's the problem. That's the problem.
Yeah.
We eat the cow without actually waiting, being patient enough, exercising patience to wait for the cow to give a calf.
Yes.
We work hard, we earn a salary, we buy a beautiful car.
Yes.
That's killing the cow.
The cow's dead. Yes.
And I think it's also important to mention that for the cow to actually get to a point of producing calves, you need to look after it. And how you look after it is by continuously feeding it, which means you're continuously adding more money to your investment.
Yes.
Thus making sure it gets to a point of producing that additional calf for you to actually start earning the passive income.
Wow, I like it when you actually relate back to history, because sometimes when we talk about this investment thing and savings, we see it as the European thing, people who've got lots of money, because in the context of South Africa, people who've got lots of money, it's white people, they've got their own property, their own big business. We are poor, and we are poor. It looks like we're going to forever be poor. And it looks like we are trapped in this poor situation. But what you've just highlighted to me, especially earlier on, Kagiso, you said there's only two ways of making money. You work hard and you spend less. So meaning that almost all of us, we are capable of creating wealth.
Yes.
And more so in a Stokvel context, because that's where the collective comes in.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Stokvels have got the right methodology. I think the methodology could always be improved, just like with anything. And they already have the right mindset. They already have the habits of contributing. But what we need to do is now to take the next step in Stokvels and actually start investing that money, because that's when the power comes in. That 40 to 50 billion rand you mentioned quickly comes to almost R1 trillion if they actually invest R1 trillion in 5 years, if they're consistently contributing and consistently investing, because then we can then start changing people's lives and actually doing using the money as an impactful way of investing.
Yeah. So what I actually love about Stokvels, and it's in our history, so we've always been collectively working together. Growing up in Nkulele, Soweto, I know that playing as a young kid, even though I was down the road, Umam's Banban was always looking after me, because you grow up in a community, we're always doing things together. And that's exactly what Stokvels do. We collectively put money together to try save. But now, like KG said, we need to take it to the next step where we collectively put money together to try grow it. And by doing that, we end up looking after each other in a greater way. We end up making each other build wealth and growing each other as a community.
So this Stokvel thing is not just only for gogos only.
No.
You know, we as a young generation, meaning that we can adopt that principle
Yes.
and actually use it to create a better lives, create wealth for ourselves by understanding investment and saving better.
Yes.
How do we save better? Because it's a saving. We open a bank account as a Stokvel, and we put our money there, and it's done. So what's the problem? What's the big deal?
Yeah.
I think with saving better, I think we need to start looking at other options, right? And when I say looking at other options, looking at other products that are available, that's so use your money better. So the problem with a bank account is you just earn an interest. And that interest, when you start taking other costs into consideration, actually having that bank account open, and you also take inflation into consideration, your money's not really making that money for you. So there's other available alternative investments, which I guess SV sort of does. We can go into that later, where you can start looking at it, where you actually start earning a higher return off your money.
Okay, so what you're saying to me, it's not enough just to put our money in a bank savings account.
Yeah.
I know lots and lots of Stokvels. They are content. They are happy to get a statement at the end of the month that says, we've got 125,000 rands in the bank account. And then we're all happy. We clap hands and that's it. So that's not sufficient.
Definitely, that's not sufficient. I think you when you mentioned earlier about Stokvels not just being for gogos, there's a misconception as well that Stokvels are only for black people. Stokvels are actually white people, Indian people actually have Stokvels as well.
Tell me more about it.
They don't call it Stokvels necessarily. They'll call it an investment club.
Oh.
It is the exact same concept. They just call it something different. So it's a bunch of people coming together and pooling money and actually using the money to either build wealth for themselves or to acquire assets. Now, where Stokvels can save better is, as Ayanda has rightfully said, that bank accounts are not a way of building wealth. If you want to learn how to build wealth or you want to build wealth, you need to look at how the wealthy people have built their wealth. And it hasn't been through a bank account. I mean,
But we still need a bank account.
You definitely need a bank account, but a bank account is used for transactional purposes. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, there's a saving component and an investment component. When you're saving for a specific event to happen, and you can use a bank product for doing that. So you can use a fixed term deposit, you can use a savings account, but when you are building wealth and you wanna acquire wealth and make more money, savings accounts or bank products that they're currently offering regarding fixed term deposits or money market are not really the right way to go. So you go the investment products route, and that's how you really start building wealth.
I know lots of Stokvels who say we've got two accounts. One, it's a savings account, and then we've got money market. Then we are cool. We are covered. Are you telling me they're still not getting it?
I'm not saying they're not getting it. Money market is fine. But what I'm saying is there are potentials for them to earn a lot more return on other investment accounts and money market. We must always remember that when you're investing, there's something called risk and return. When you're taking on more risk, there's a potential for a higher return. Those two things are always in play when you're investing. So I'll give you an example. Money market from a risk perspective is very low risk. Very low risk, because what happens is that the bank will guarantee that money.
Okay.
So in order for the bank not to pay you that money, the whole bank needs to fail.
Okay.
Which doesn't happen often. But when you then start investing, the risk becomes higher. But what it means is that the return should also match the risk. So the return should always be higher. So if the risk is high, the return should be high. That's how you should always think about it. When the risk is low, you can expect a low return.
So as a Stokvel, we must be willing to expose ourselves to a little bit of risk.
Exactly.
Yes. And I just want to add to that. So it's good for Stokvels to have a bank account and a money market, because the theory behind investing, or the rule, is you must always diversify.
Yes.
So you must never have all your eggs in one basket.
Okay.
So what I'd say is that it's good to have multiple accounts, but then you need to start exploring other investment products to actually get the high return KG was talking about. So you must have different tranches of return and risk. So your money market is the safe one. That's where probably you'd put in, let's say, 40% of your money. Then the other 20%, start playing around with it to look at other sort of high return investment products.
Oh, cool. Coming back to SV Capital, can you just briefly share with us your success story in terms of converting
Yes.
Stokvel, young Stokvel members in particular, into this investment approach as opposed to consuming, saving for savings? Do you have any success story?
Yes.
Even if it's just one person or, a group?
Yeah.
Yes. So we have it's been an amazing journey that we've gone through regarding teaching, really educating people about investments and also providing these type of products that we provide. We specifically, I'll speak about one person that was one of our first clients. And so this individual didn't necessarily have savings accounts. So they constantly complained to us and said, look, I have my money at the bank, but I'm not happy with the interest rates that I'm getting at the bank. I'm not happy with what I'm earning. I'm retired and I actually need to start living off this retirement money. How am I going to do this? Because the return that I'm getting from my bank is not enough for me to live off this money. And we sat down with the gentleman and we really went through what we do, and we highlighted that, look, all our investments are real asset-backed, they're easy to understand, and they are 1 year period. From a return perspective, these are the potential returns that we potentially could pay. Now, the gentlemen, after we went through that process with them, they invested with us, and 3 months later, we sent them essentially the investment performance, and he was very happy with that. Very happy, because if you go to him today, if you give him a call right now and you ask him, how does your investment work? How do you make money from your investment? He will tell you immediately, because it's very simple to understand.
So did you avoid using those complex definitions? You simplify the language?
Yes.
Because my concern again is are you not just one of those, again, investment entities that still, talk the same language, just in a different setting and all that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Your approach, it's different. Earlier on, Ayanda, you said you targeting ordinary men in the street.
Yes.
So are you really assuring us? Give us the assurance that you are the go-to, simple, no complications investment. And just before you respond, regulation, because this is a highly regulated industry.
Yes.
I wouldn't like people to say the Stokvel Voice podcast
is
SV Capital. They not accredited and all that.
Yes.
Is that all taken care of?
Yes.
Okay.
So to answer your first question, we do sort of simplify how we put the messaging together around our investment product, and our actual product is very simple. So what we sell to everyone is that we give you real assets to invest in. So when you're working with SV Capital, you are actually buying a cow. You are actually buying a lamb or whatever other investment product we may have. The only complexity we may add is how the feeding happens, but also that's what our forefathers have done for a long time. We buy cattle, we feed them, we sell them to the market. Everyone eats beef. You understand, for beef to get to your place, you need to grow a cow. It needs to be slaughtered appropriately and then sold to the merchant. So that's our investment product, and that's how we sell it to people. And just to touch on another client we worked with an investment club, so a young investment club, who called us. They're based all over South Africa, and they called us and they're like, guys, explain to us what you do. And the key selling points there were that we have physical assets that are invested in, because the biggest problem is people don't like this thing of shares and the virtual world where you don't actually have a tangible asset behind your money. So you're putting your money in your company, but you can never actually walk up to that company and go check if your asset is there. And they love the fact that the returns we're projecting, they realistic. So we're not selling a glory story here. We're not saying 100% returns. We're telling you that our returns will be driven by the market and how the market actually performs.
Yeah, I think it's also important to touch. You mentioned on regulation. SV Capital is a registered company in South Africa. What we also offer, or our clients have the ability to actually come see their cattle or come see their lamb, whatever their investments are. So from a regulation perspective, we are a registered company. We are a registered taxpayer company. Are you
compliant in terms of the Financial Services Board?
So SV Capital, which is a very good question, does not offer does not sell financial services. So we do not sell financial instruments. What Ayanda has just described to you is we sell the ability for you to invest in physical livestock. So you, as the client, would own the physical livestock. We do not sell investment instruments.
But to caveat that, we're not yet at a point to actually pay you out in livestock. We have to pay out with money.
Yes.
Okay. You know what? I think we'll have to pause on that one.
Yes.
Our next episode will go in details in terms of your product offering. Remember, earlier on when we started, I just wanted us to talk about this investment, broadly speaking, the complexity, the simplicity, and all that, which I think, in my view, you've actually explained it. And I hope our listeners they understand that it's not a difficult thing to do, to actually create wealth for yourself as an individual by following the right steps, working hard and spending less, but also as a Stokvel, to move away from just an event, which is saving for grocery. There's nothing wrong in that. But saying the 100 rands can at least be split, 40 rands can go into investment, provided you understand what you are investing in.
Yes, that's important. That's definitely important.
That's very important.
You have to know what you're investing in. If you do not understand, do not invest. And I'll say that using SV Capital as an example. If you do not understand what we do, you should not be giving us your money.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay tuned to Stokvel Voice Podcast.